Shalom. I'd like to start out by giving all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect of Israel. This is Thamayim in Atlanta, and I have an article from Stuff.com based out of New Zealand. And it says Elon Musk loses race to sew implants into the brain. And this came out recently, September 4th, 2022. And it's another example of Esau trying to play God, trying to meld man with machine so that they can have control and implement a society to their liking. But Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai is about to bring this all crashing down right before they can fill their bellies. A severely paralyzed man in New York underwent relatively simple surgery this summer and woke up with a superpower. He is now able to control his mobile phone with his mind, to send messages with his thoughts, thanks to a tiny stent-like implant in his brain that interprets brain waves and translates them into mouse clicks, swipes, and emails. And this is an example of the miracles of the beast, the miracles performed by the beast spoken of in Revelation. Moving on. The man was the first to receive such an implant in America, marking a watershed moment in the evolution of brain-computer interfaces, a much hyped but slowly progressing field that promises to eventually merge man with machine. And this is an example of the technocracy that the Edomites wish to implement into society and unto the entire world. Because this way, once man and machine are merged, there'll have to be somebody to have control of it. And having this control will allow them to be at a godlike range. They'll be able to control life and death with these machines merged into people. And I was looking up technocracy earlier, and just from the basic dictionary, it says technocracy, the government or control of society or industry by an elite of technical experts. And so it will be the elite controlling society through these implants in people. They'll be able to turn them off and on, and it's going to be intriguing for people. Like the guy they spoke of, he's paralyzed. He faced judgment from the Most High, obviously doesn't like it, and he's trying to skirt around that judgment by having this technology implanted into him. And it's just not going to work. Usually stuff like that implanted into the body doesn't take, and it's forced out anyway. But moving on, famously Elon Musk has warned that we must all one day turn ourselves into cyborgs via brain implants. And that's that same, he calls it all, both great and small, because he says must all one day turn ourselves into cyborgs via brain implants, and the elect will not be taking part in this crazy experiment. Moving on, in order to secure the future of humanity relative to AI, he's been working on this problem since 2016 when he launched his startup Neuralink. Yet after 6 years and dollars, I guess it's supposed to say $360 million in funding from the world's richest man, as well as the likes of Google, Neuralink has little to show. A goal of starting trials of its own device in 2020 has long since passed, and Meta, the parent of Facebook, last year banned a years-long effort to develop the technology. And so Meta gave up on this. The tech titans were beaten by Tom Oxley, 41, an Australian doctor and founder of New York startup Synchron. This year, his company became the first to receive an investigational device exemption from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration for a permanently implanted digital brain device. So he beat Musk in putting the MOTB into somebody's forehead. He says he leapfrogged Musk and Mark Zuckerberg by taking a different approach. Neuralink has developed a robot that drills a hole in the skull and then sews thousands of microscopic polymer threads into the brain. The process is fraught with risk, including inflammation of brain tissue. And yeah, that right away it sounds insane to even have that done. Wow. Synchron goes in through the jugular. So they're going in, they're not drilling a hole into the skull, they're going in through the jugular. Then guides its stent-like device through blood vessels to the brain. From there, it sends signals to a device implanted in the chest that transmits data via Bluetooth to a mobile phone or computer. When one wants to, say, type a letter or swipe their finger right, parts of the brain light up. Synchron's system interprets those signs and translates them into actions. The initial goal is to help severely disabled use their digital devices, allowing them to surf the web, read the newspaper, or communicate with their loved ones. Reestablishing such a connection can prove a lifeline. And we already know that things like Bluetooth can actually cause health problems because of even though it's a low amount of radiation, it's still radiation, and it's also waves and vibrations, and throwing off natural vibrations can cause health problems, let alone this being implanted inside of a person. It says paralysis is untreatable, and BCI is going to be an incredible life-changing technology, Oxley said. The company is riding on a 2015 breakthrough in stroke treatment, in which it was proven that mechanically pulling a blood clot out of the brain via the blood vessels could dramatically improve outcomes. There are now thousands of doctors trained to perform such neurointervention procedures, which are very similar to Synchron's implant requires. To what Synchron's implant requires. Open brain surgery remains the domain of a tiny number of specialists. The FDA gave the approval after Synchron implanted 4 patients with its device in Australia. Do I think this is a moment in history? I had the thought when we implanted the first patient back in 2019 in Australia, Oxley said. When he woke up and I saw the technology in his brain and we saw the data from his brain streaming out on the system, it did feel to me like we were looking at something new. And you gotta ask, how many failed experiments were there before this, and how many people are not living, and how many animals had to go through this treatment for them to have 4 that they can speak of. You know, there had to be a lot more grossly disfigured and maimed and even dead people from this, especially with something as precious as your brain. And it says Synchron is not the first down this road. Cyberkinetics Neurotechnology, which also sought to use a brain implant to control devices, launched 20 years ago based on breakthrough research from Brown University's John Donohue. It was not a success. Oxley aims for Synchron's device to be the first implant that can be left permanently in the brain in the next 20 or 30 years to 2050, which, Lord willing, we do not make it that long. Lord willing, Yahushua returns well before that. This is going to become a very common technology that helps you engage in the metaverse, he predicted. Last year, Musk garnered headlines with a stunt showing a monkey playing a video game with his mind, yet progress has been slow. Frustrated, Musk reportedly contacted Oxley to discuss a potential investment. Synchron declined to comment. And so, they're working hard to get this technology out, but the Most High throwing stumbling blocks and digging pits for them. So it's taking a bit, but they're working. They want to become gods, but it just will not happen for them. This is Revelation 16, and we're going to start at 1. And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the 7 angels, "Go your ways and pour out the vials of the wrath of the Most High upon the earth." This is that destruction that we are waiting to happen when everything starts to unravel and Esau's world falls. And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the MOTB, and upon them which worshipped his image. And so that implant, whether it be in your brain or in your hands, or they even spoke of chest in that article, that is part of the MOTB, and that is worshiping the image. That's being a part of the system, a part of this world. And these people are going to get a nasty sore. They're going to be sick and eventually die from this, because it's not a part of the Most High's plan. And they took it. There's nothing that they can do to repent after that. I want to go and look at translation comparisons really quick. The BBE says, "And the first went and let what was in his vessel come down on the earth, and it became an evil, poisoning wound on the men who had the mark, or had the MOTB, and who gave worship to his image." So, if you take that, no matter where you take it, it will not work out well for you. Here's what the NLT says. "So the first angel left the temple and poured out his bowl on the earth, and horrible, malignant sores broke out on everyone who had the MOTB and who worshipped his statue." So, I don't know about you, but I do not want any part of that. I don't want any part of the MOTB or those sores or the eventual missiles that are going to come onto this land. And you will be left here if you take that, if you have any part in that. This is Ezekiel 28, and we're just going to start up at the top and finish out here, because that article and this technology and what Esau is pushing for, it's all an example of him trying to play God, trying to be God, trying to be in control, and his pride that actually makes him think that he can. So this is Ezekiel 28:1. "The word of the Lord Yahweh came again unto me, saying, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus," and in this case, because the scriptures are manifold, this is speaking to the Edomites, especially to their elite. It says, "Thus saith the Lord Power, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am a God. I sit in the seat of God," as in at the heights of society, because they are in their heaven right now. The Edomites, the elite, "in the midst of the seas being people, nations, and tongues," as explained in Revelation. So they're over all the people, they're influencing all the people. "Yet thou art a man," and they are the basest of men at that, "and not God, though thou set thine heart as the heart of the Most High. Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There's no secret that they can hide from thee. With thy wisdom and with thine understanding, thou hast gotten thee riches." And that wisdom and his understanding has just one example has translated into this technology, in which the tech industry is a $1 trillion industry. And they've gotten great riches from this. And it's given them clout for people to actually believe in this technology, not seeing the other side of it, the less fortunate outcomes. And it's gotten gold and silver in thy treasures. By thy great wisdom and by thy traffic hast thou increased thy riches. And thine heart is lifted up because of thy riches. Is that pride, the pride of the Idumeans, the Edomites. Therefore, thus saith the Lord power, because thou hast set thine heart as the heart of the Most High. Behold, therefore, I will bring strangers upon thee. Those strangers being led by Gog and Magog, modern day Russia, as well as the Iranians, the Chinese, and the men of Esau's confederacy, the other EU states, the terrible of the nations, and they shall draw their swords against the beauty of thy wisdom, and they shall defile thy brightness. They shall bring thee down to the pit, and thou shalt die the deaths of them that are slain in the midst of the seas. Wilt thou yet say before him that slayeth thee, I am God? And that's a no. You're nothing but a base man. But thou shalt be a man, and no God, in the hand of him that slayeth thee. Thou shalt die the death of the uncircumcised by the hand of strangers. For I have spoken it, saith the Lord power. And so, because of their pride in their this whole thing that they're trying to do with the technocracy and changing over society and pushing the melding of man and technology, plus the various other hundreds of millions of things that the Edomites have done, the Lord is going to bring them down, very far down. It's going to break that pride. And that time is coming soon. So with that, I'd like to give all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect of Israel. Shalom.